Happy Sunday afternoon, everyone. Welcome here on the E2G Sports Network. Robert Marchell along here with Parker. Parker, happy Sunday. And let's kind of get right into it here. Let's talk a little WBC. Before we begin, I just kind of wanted to give some backstory. So, the United States, of course, won last night in a come from behind win against Venezuela. How did we kind of get here, right? The United States, they won their first game against Great Britain, off to a bit of a slow start, but then they kind of got the hang of it. Great Britain took that early 1-0 lead, and then it was all United States after that. Then the United States had a bit of a bump in the road against Mexico, right?
Mexico, yeah.
Mexico, a team that was already kind of assembled prior to the USA team being assembled, so they had a little bit more chemistry, and it showed on that night in a blowout loss for the
Yeah, and
United States.
they got one of our players as they've got two of our players actually that are relief pitchers for them. Jojo Romero, who used to be a Philly, and Giovanni Gallegos, who used to be a Yankee.
Yeah, I remember
the Yankees. The Yankees got Luke Voit from us in that trade, and
yeah,
a lot of fans were grumbling about that,
Mhm.
and they still do. But in retrospect, I think that trade worked out better for us.
Yes. Luke Voigt never came to fruition there in New York. The United States were able then to be able to get a nice win in their last game, 3-2.
They got a mercy rule win against Canada before that.
Yeah.
And Canada also featured another one of our players, Tyler O'Neill, who could be our starting center fielder this year.
He sure could be. Now, recapping the game last night, the United States is able to get off to that early lead.
Mm-hmm.
Then Venezuela comes back with two. The United States add a couple of runs. Then Venezuela blows up and have a big inning. They take their first lead of the night. Then they add some
Bard. I don't know what the heck happened.
Daniel Bard. Yeah, Daniel Bard used to pitch with the Red Sox and then had a long 10-year gap where he didn't even play professionally.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he
was like 37 years old
for a while. He started with the Red Sox when he was young, and then of course that big inning that they had, Trey Turner basically not walking it off because there was still some more time left. But you felt like after they were able to take that lead, it was pretty safe to say they were gonna win the game. Parker, I know that you watched the game last night. I did as well.
I did.
That's one of the most exciting games I've watched in a while, and that's including Major League postseason play.
Yeah, no, that is definitely the most exciting WBC game I've ever seen. I mean,
it was exciting, no question about it. It sure was.
And apparently, I'm not sure about this, but I believe that old Uncle Charlie is going to be starting for us tonight against Cuba.
Okay.
Adam Wainwright.
Adam Wainwright, of course, he struggled a little bit in his first start. He was able to settle down, of course, eventually.
Yeah, he was.
But he had a rough first inning there with finding command in the strike zone, which is expected. No one, I'll be honest with you, I knew going into the first game there was going to be some jitters. I think, in Parker, we're going to kind of get into this as we continue to talk about the WBC. But I think you could really tell that first round pool play what teams had more camaraderie than others, and I feel like the United States kind of fell behind in that.
They did.
They're able to win some. They only lost one game in pool play.
I think the best camaraderie out of all the teams is Japan.
Yes.
I mean, look at Lars Nootbaar. He's an icon in Japan now.
Yeah, that Japan team, and we're going to get into that as we preview the semifinal matchups just in a little while.
By the way, Cardinals.
You're wearing your Cardinal stuff. I got my Red Sox shirt
on. There you go. All right.
Trying to hide it, though, because I don't know how they're going to do in the 2023 season. But we'll talk about that, of course.
Isn't one of your guys playing for Mexico right now?
Yep. We have a couple of – we have former Red Sox players that are playing in some of the other ones. We had a question, though. At 12:02, you think the USA is going to win it all? Good question. I think they're capable of winning it all. They have a tough matchup tonight against Cuba. Cuba's really good. No matter who they play in the finals. No matter who they play in the finals.
We actually beat Cuba for the gold in 2000.
Yes.
Tommy Lasorda was the manager of that team.
Yes. Yeah, I was at the beginning of the WBC, I was worried about kind of the managing difference, having obviously a first time manager, but it's ended up working out so far. I feel like to this point, I think these next 2 rounds are really going to test that.
I like Mark DeRosa.
No, he's a great baseball mind. I was just concerned that as we get into the later rounds, there's gonna be a lot more experienced managers than him.
Well, he went to Penn, so he's a great mind. Period.
Yes.
Yes, you've got that Ivy League education.
Thank you for that question. Now previewing some of that, those matchups. Of course, you have USA, Cuba tonight, and then you have Mexico and Japan. Starting with USA and Cuba. Parker, what kind of stands out for you on the Cuban side?
Well, Cuba, the fact that they went 2-2 in pool play and still managed to get to the semis. They started out 0-2.
Yeah, they're kind of I don't want to call them a comeback story because they're Cuba is really very known well for baseball. I feel like they fit that role pretty well here in this spot.
Yeah, I know. As a matter of fact, I was watching something on PBS not too long ago that U.S. soldiers actually taught baseball to Cubans when they were there in the Spanish-American War.
That's interesting.
Yeah, Cuba was trying to break the mold of from their Spanish colonial identity and forge an identity of their own. And one of the ways they did that was through baseball.
That is pretty cool. I like that.
But anyway, like I said, Cuba 2-2 in pool play, started out 0-2, and they were, like I said, again, they were on the verge of going home.
They were,
and then of course, but yeah, I wouldn't call them a comeback story either because they've been a baseball power for years. Even though we beat them, as I mentioned before, we beat them in the 2000 Olympics for the gold. Baseball became a quasi-Olympic sport in '84 in Los Angeles. It was a demonstration sport, but they used for the first time ever in Olympic competition, they had tournament play. And Cuba was one of the favorites, but of course they towed the line with the Soviet Union when the Soviet Union boycotted the LA games in revenge for us boycotting Moscow. But yeah, they didn't show up. The U.S. won silver to Japan. And in '88, Cuba showed up, and they had baseball. '88 games were in Seoul, Korea. And they weren't an official medal sport yet. They were a demonstration sport. We actually beat them for the demonstration gold in '88. So we have beaten Cuba in international competition before. But I think this is the first time in a game this important against U.S. major leaguers.
Yeah, and it should be a good matchup. I'm just kind of looking at right now the roster. Obviously, Yohan Moncada, is a big part of them. Red Sox prospect.
Yeah, Cespedes is on the roster.
Cespedes is on there. They have some younger players that are on there. So I think Luis Robert is playing for them. Who's obviously one of the what's coming up. I feel like was a really, really good player. I think he's kind of fizzled off in the past years. But you look at most of Cuba's roster, it's from the league that they have in their own country, and obviously we're not necessarily able to see that in the United States. But
the old communist baseball machine.
And I think we're gonna find out later tonight what kind of team they have. The other matchup, of course, is Mexico and Japan. Parker, I had a question for you about Japan, and it's something that I'm interested in. So far through this whole WBC, they've been able to play on their old soil. How are they going to be away from home where there probably isn't going to be a lot of fans in Miami for them?
No, but I think a lot of people are going to want to see how Shohei Ohtani does. And of course, like I said, Nootbaar has become quite the icon. He's become the pop culture phenom. I mean, I think from what I've heard, Nootbaar noodles are like the best-selling item in Tokyo restaurants.
That's cool.
But I still think they're dangerous.
Okay. I agree. I think that they are a very, very good team. I'm going to be interested to see how they play on Monday night, not being at home, because
Mm.
throughout the whole WBC, they were at home.
I
They
was
were,
just thinking about that.
they were in front of their whole country. Now they're
Were
coming here
they
to the
were they
United
at home
States.
for the quarters?
They were in Japan.
For the quarters?
I believe so.
Oh, so their knockout game against Italy was in. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I believe everything was in Japan. I could be wrong. Don't no offense to Italy, but they're not much of a match for Japan, so I don't think it really
No.
mattered where they play. But I think that's a challenge against Mexico. Mexico, a team that I believe has a lot more
Stomped us.
camaraderie than the three other teams in this semifinal. Of course, United States, Cuba, Japan, and Mexico. I think they're the closest knit group out of all of them.
Mhm.
I think a lot of those players play on the same teams as each other. They play against each other. They see each other all the time. Same thing with the United States, but I feel like Mexico is the closest group, and I think I think that I think we're going to see a USA Japan final, but I also would
So do
not
I.
be surprised to see Mexico and the United States
Ooh, a
um,
rematch.
rematch of the prior.
But I will say this though, we did not get mercy ruled by Mexico. We got
No,
stomped. Don't get me wrong,
was
we
it,
got stomped.
I think I is it only one happened in pool play or was there multiple? I saw
We
one.
we did it to Canada, and
Canada. Yeah.
then Canada did it to Great Britain the day before.
Yeah. That's crazy. You'd think that you'd score all the you see that a lot in the regular season, right? You see a team that puts up 18 runs in one game, and they don't put up 18 runs in combined 6 games.
Now, didn't you guys do that to the Didn't the Yankees do that to you guys in London? Like, didn't they
Yes,
beat you guys like
yeah,
19-2 or
pretty bad.
something?
Yeah, pretty bad. Yeah, that was a not very good experience. So hopefully,
I
the
hope it's
Open,
going to be a
I
better
hope so.
experience for us.
Yeah,
And we're playing our arch rivals too. And
yeah.
apparently, I don't know where I heard this, but there's the Hall of Fame is lending a bunch of stuff to the British Museum, and they're going to have a pre-London series display at the British Museum, so
That's pretty cool.
fans can see a bunch of
Yeah.
artifacts. I mean, and I've been going round and round with a lot of people about this in some of the Cardinal Facebook groups. I'm sorry, I think that playing in the London series is an honor.
I
We
agree.
were selected to be ambassadors of the game. We
I think they couldn't have chose two better matchups in the past 4 years to play there than the Red Sox, Yankees, Cardinals, Cubs.
No, exactly right.
I think maybe the second best maybe would be Dodgers and Giants, but neither team will agree to that.
I mean, how old is that rivalry? That rivalry
Very
goes back to New York City in the 1890s.
They both, of course, there was. I know you're a baseball historian, but I know as well as you there was 3 teams at one time
Mm-hmm.
playing in New York City. Of course, there's
Now,
now.
I was trying to think where the Red Sox, they play at Fenway Park and have
Ew.
since 1912. Where was the original stadium, the Huntington Avenue Grounds, I believe it was called, and what is sitting there now?
That's a good question. I do not know. I wish I did. I know that they moved there. Obviously, Fenway Park was opened up a couple of weeks after the Titanic
Yep.
sank. So
Yeah,
that's kind of
that's actually mentioned in the movie Fever Pitch.
yep, correct.
But I don't know exactly where, but I think the site of the old Huntington Avenue grounds is part of Northeastern University now.
So it's very close. Yeah, so Northeastern and Boston University are no. So it's Northeastern, Wentworth, MIT, BU. They're all kind of near Fenway in like a 5 or 6 mile radius. Boston
I
College
know
is
you
kind of
can
way
see.
out the other end. Yeah.
I've gone into the Elliott Lounge a few times. I know you can see Fenway from there.
Fenway is one of the cooler places I think to go. They're really starting to build around the area. I remember when I was going as a kid, there wasn't as much to do. I feel like there's a lot to do now.
Mm. But I also remember in Field of Dreams, you couldn't quite read it, but I think they had a shot of a sign that marked the site of Huntington Avenue grounds.
Okay. Oh, when they went to Fenway?
Yeah, when James Earl Jones is standing in front of Ray's van, and I think the sign is over his shoulder, and he looks at Ray, Moonlight Graham.
Yeah. That's actually my favorite baseball movie.
Mine too.
Yeah, I think it's that The Natural I really like.
Mm.
8 Man Out with Charlie Sheen. Major League. The first one?
Yes.
Okay. The first
one. The first one was the best out of all of them. I mean, Major League 2 was good, but it wasn't great. Major League, the original, was great. Oh, well, come on. Pride of the Yankees. I don't know. I don't know how.
That's an interesting one. I've seen that one.
What about Fever Pitch?
Of course, I've seen Fever Pitch.
I figured you had. And I'm sure you loved how it ended.
Yeah, that was a good. That was
a good one. It was great ending for you guys.
Yeah, it was a good one. So I didn't really feel like I didn't really want to have to ask this question today.
Ask
based on what the events were last night, but I'm going to ask it.
Mm-hmm.
Is the WBC hurting baseball? I think there's a lot of questions that can be asked.
No, I answer that without hesitation. No.
I think so. I agree, and I want to play the other side. So if you disagree with that,
mm-hmm.
Is it hurting the game? I think there's many avenues that we can take it down. Mm-hmm. One of them, and again, Parker, I agree with you. I was playing the other side in this one.
No, I understand that. You're playing devil's advocate.
So on the other side, you can look at it being like, well, and then I had it written down in the rundown, some of these points that I had.
Yep, yes, you do.
One of them being, look at a situation, and we're going to talk about it later on. I don't want to get into it too much now. What's happening around with the New York Mets? They don't have a closer.
Yeah.
Now, that's not something that happened on the field of play. That's something that happened in a celebration. A freak accident.
Yeah. That's right.
But we're going to get into it later on.
What was his name? Kendry Morales. He was with the Angels at the time. Yep. He hit a walk-off homer to beat us. And he's rounding the bases. He stomps on home plate and breaks his leg.
That's something. I think in another way to play kind of the other side, team chemistry. You look at a lot of these teams. Look at the New York Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have I don't know if they have a single guy playing in the WBC.
Yes, they do. Torres played for Venezuela last night.
So they have one or two players.
Yeah.
They're all together right now.
Yeah, I noticed Judge isn't playing in the WBC.
So that might make a difference later on in the season. I don't believe it will, but it could.
I don't.
You never know. Just another point. How are these managers going to manage the players later on in the season? These guys are already ready.
Yeah.
If they were in spring training, they wouldn't be ready.
That's right. But
so again, I agree. I don't think it's hurting the game. I think it's.
I think it's helping the game, and I'll tell you why.
I think it's helping the game
because these guys are, like I said, this is the same point I made with the London series. These guys are ambassadors for their game, for their countries. They are baseball ambassadors for their countries. They are helping to spread the game internationally.
I agree.
I think eventually, I'm not sure when, but I think eventually there may be major leaguers being allowed to compete in the Olympics. Eventually.
You could definitely see it.
I mean, it's not going to happen in Paris in 2024.
Yep.
But baseball is coming back to the Olympics in Los Angeles in 2028 and Brisbane in 2032. But I mean, look at Great Britain and Israel. Like I said, both teams qualified for the next WBC. I mean, look what it's going to, especially the Brits. Look what it's going to do for the game in
Mhm.
Britain. And
One team I
that
was surprised that didn't get very far was Australia. I feel like they had a good team coming in, and
they did.
I didn't
They
think
got
they
the
did a very
orders.
good job.
I'm actually surprised the Netherlands didn't get out of pool play.
That's another team that has some players that necessarily aren't Netherlands citizens.
Yes, they are.
They're able what I mean by that is like Xander Bogaerts.
There is no more Netherlands Antilles. They are
Yeah.
just part of the Netherlands now.
Yeah,
It's a weird it's a weird arrangement. They are actually part of the Netherlands. They are part of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, even though
Mhm.
they're not located in Europe.
Yes.
I mean, it's like
So, yeah.
the French overseas territories. They are actually part of
Mhm.
France, even though they're not located in Europe.
So moving on to kind of our second topic, I want to talk a little bit about spring training first. Let's talk about the New York Mets injuries. Of course, last year, having a huge lead in the AL or NL East, and
NLEs.
they blew it to the Braves, and then were
Yep.
quickly out of the playoffs. Of course, we just talked about Edwin Diaz, Brandon Nimmo dealing with some injuries.
Mhm.
They have some players that are going to be that are in the WBC currently. Pete Alonso,
Lindor's playing for Pete
um,
Alonso. Has been
not
terrible.
well, he's not starting. I think is the issue. And that he does not deserve. Now, Paul Goldschmidt is rightly so the first baseman of the team, but I think Pete Alonso isn't exactly used to being on the bench.
No, he's not. I mean, you're not going to. I like Pete Alonso, but you're not going to sit the MVP of the National League. It's just
No,
not.
no, man, no. I
Like
think there
third
was a
base. I
story.
mean,
They were,
Bobby Witt Jr. is an up and coming star,
yeah,
but you're not going to sit Nolan Arenado.
no, they I think Mark DeRosa was telling a story after one of the exhibition games that he tried to get Pete Alonso off the field and put him back on the bench, and he says, "I'm not going anywhere." Well, because he knew that this is, he's not going to get a lot of time to be in the uniform, so might as well, do the best you can. So,
What was
uh,
it that Herb Brooks said?
who?
Herb Brooks, what was it he said? The name on the front of the jersey is a hell of a lot more important than the one
Yes,
on the back.
true, very true, very true, very true. That's a miracle. That's another good hockey movie for sure.
Yeah, but Mike, the way the way that thing happened, Mike Eruzione saying who he played for, where he was from,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
not the way it actually went down. I mean,
Oh no, of course not. No.
those Herbies were ended because Mark Johnson smashed his stick against the glass. But anyway, go on.
um, can the Mets overcome? I think they're so. When we get further into my predictions, that's the reason why I don't have them winning the NL East. I think they're going to have a hard time winning the division based on the fact they don't have a closer now. The closer's done
And they
for
were
the year.
saying last night,
It's gonna be hard.
in the Venezuela game that Adam Ottavino is going to have a huge role with the Mets now that Diaz went down.
So Adam Ottavino pitched for the Red Sox, and I think it was 2021.
Yep, and he pitched for us too.
He had a role,
Mm-hmm.
but he's not Edwin Diaz. That's what they're going to need. They need
No,
Edwin Diaz to have another good season, and now they don't have him.
I still think they can win it.
Think they can win it? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that, of course, later on into the show. Just some kind of young stars so far in spring training that I caught my eye. Pick Parker. I'm just going to finish the list, and then we can go down each one.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Blake Sable of the San Francisco Giants. He's a young guy, batting 379, 3 homers, 8 RBIs. Jarrett Kelnick, who's a guy.
Where was Blake last year? Did he have a cup of coffee in the show last year? Or
Kelnick?
No,
Sable. Yep.
Yeah, Sable.
Yep.
So you had a cup of coffee in the show.
Yep. Kelnick, of course, is a mainstay with the Seattle Mariners now, batting 400 in spring training. Of course, you have Mickey Moniak, who was a top pick, who everyone thought that he wasn't going to work out. He's now ended up working out with the Angels, batting 405. Of course, you have Jordan Walker, who plays for the Cardinals, batting 378.
Never heard of him.
Tristan Cassis, who plays for the Red Sox,
Yeah.
batting
Who's this
359.
Walker character? Never heard of him. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you know. There is.
After that, if he hadn't strained his shoulder, I would not rule him. I would not rule it out that he would go north with the big club. I think now he's kind of slowed down a little. I think he may need some seasoning in AAA, get a chance to play every day. But I think you could see him in the show by the All-Star break.
I like it. Just speaking on, Triston Casas, of course, last year was a late August, September call up based on the fact that Bobby Dahlbeck really wasn't creating much offense. He should be our first baseman on opening day against Baltimore. I'm very excited to see what he does.
How about Devers?
Well, Devers right now is his current. Well, I think so. I don't know what happens with the Dominican Republic in terms of when he's going to be returning.
Oh, he hasn't returned yet?
I'm not sure if he's returned yet. I believe he would have.
All right. Tommy Edman returned from the Korean team a few days ago, but he didn't play because he was severely jet lagged.
I think what a lot of these teams are going to do is they are just going to tell them, get ready for opening day. We're all set. We don't need you to plan any more spring training games.
I can see that.
I think for pitchers specifically, they're not.
Yeah.
You're not.
I think Goldie and Nato are probably going to be on the back fields, taking grounders and doing
taking it easy. I do think though there's going to be some teams though that say to themselves, we don't want to keep sitting this guy back up and down. Let's just keep him, let him play.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can see that too. I think no matter the approach, there's risk, no matter what.
Right.
Of injury later on in the season. Just some pitchers, Parker, that I noticed so far in spring training are doing well. Dylan Dodd of the Braves, less than 1 ERA. Reed Demers of the Angels, 208. Right. And then, of course, one of your guys, Jake Woodford.
There's a strong case for Jake being added to the rotation this season.
And he's a young, he's not even 25 yet. So you guys
kind of have some overlooked. I've got one that you overlooked.
Okay.
For us, Matthew Liberatore.
Okay.
He has a 1.8 ERA.
How old is he?
I want to say 24, 25, something like that.
So he's within 20. I just chose guys that were under 25. That's what I consider as young.
I think Matthew is in that range. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's in that range. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So you think Cass is going to be the guy on?
Yeah, he's at first. I second base, I think is going to be a concern with the Red Sox. Just based on the fact Trevor Story's
Cass is in the show to stay.
Casas will be at first base. I think you might see Bobby Dahlbeck get a spot on the Red Sox. He can now play first, short, and third. He's been playing a lot of games at shortstop, which I think is a good thing because now.
I will tell you one thing about a guy who's been tearing it up for us in spring training is Brendan Donovan.
Okay, Brendan Donovan, he's very good.
Yeah, he can play everywhere. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen it. There was a cartoon called Baseball Bugs, and Bugs Bunny is playing baseball against the Gas House Gorillas. And
I don't think I've seen that. No.
When he comes into the game, the PA announces the lineup: first base, Bugs Bunny; second base, Bugs Bunny; shortstop, Bugs Bunny; third base, Bugs Bunny. That's kind of what Brendan Donovan reminds me of.
Play everywhere, huh?
Yeah.
That's cool.
But he's got he had a 390 on base average last year. He is actually the starting second baseman right now. That's what the Cardinals are projecting.
I think the Red Sox right now, their outfield is solidified.
That's good.
We definitely know who's going to be in the outfield. I think it's just a question of all the other positions. Catcher is solidified. I thought
Mhm.
after we traded away Christian Vasquez would be an issue, but Reese McGuire really stepped up and he's done a really good job.
Well, I mean, it's
We
always
have some-
good. It's
yeah.
always good when you lose a good player like that, and you've got a good replacement. Like for us, we lost Yachty, and we've got ourselves a replacement, and
Yeah.
he's actually doing really well.
That's right.
Yeah, we got Wilson Contreras now, and he's going to be playing in the Central against his brother.
So just some questions, Parker, that I had for the the 2023 season. I'm putting up predictions, but we're not talking about them just yet. Okay.
Okay.
One of the first questions that I kind of had, and then I'll answer this first. Can the Yankees repeat the same May and June as they had last year? Going into last year, I didn't think the Yankees were going to make the postseason. I felt like they were missing something. I clearly was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They probably should have won 120 games last year, but they completely fell apart in the dog days of summer.
Yeah, one of the moments in which they fell apart was they came to St. Louis to play us.
Yes, and they also fell apart against the Red Sox. The Red Sox were able to steal a series from them in Fenway when they were kind of on their downslide.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Yankees going into this year. So in my opinion, being on the other side of the Red Sox Yankees rivalry, when the Yankees are expected not to do good, they do really good.
Yeah,
But
I've
in the
always
years
found that
they
in
have
the
been
80s.
supposed to be good, they have not done well. They have not won a championship since 2009. And me knowing many Yankees fans, that bothers them quite a bit.
Do you have a lot of Yankees fans up there?
Yes. Yes.
As many as there are Red Sox fans? I'm sure no.
It's close.
Really? I'm surprised it's that
You
close.
go to a Red Sox Yankees game, it's around 60 to 40 Red Sox fans.
That is close.
And when I was a
And
kid,
I'm
it
sure you
was
have a smattering of Mets fans up there too.
the Mets last year came to Fenway, and there was a good amount. So the Yankees, the Dodgers, even like the Blue Jays, when they come to Fenway, I feel like there's a lot of teams that congregate to Fenway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was up in Nova Scotia one summer, and I was thinking, if it's Canada, there's going to be mostly Blue Jays fans up there. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people in the Maritimes and like Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, a lot of Yankee and Red Sox fans, and a smattering of Met fans.
Yeah.
And I think, if you go out to Manitoba or Saskatchewan,
Mm-hmm.
it's mainly Twins fans.
Because they're right around.
Yeah,
Right
they're
around
just
that
over the
area.
border from Minnesota.
Yep. I already think I know the answer to you're going to answer this question. Did Milwaukee or Chicago close the gap into winning the NL Central? No. I think the Cardinals are
I
far
think
above
they did a
the
little bit.
division.
Offensively, they did.
Offensively.
Well, Chicago did, but I don't think Milwaukee, not so much.
Okay. Will Baltimore catch that summer magic that they had last year into this year? I think that I think if you're the Red Sox going into this year, you have to really worry about Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the reason why you were in last place. It's because Baltimore had a great August.
Mm-hmm.
I think going into this year, Baltimore might be a team that you might look at that, I'm not saying they're going to get to the playoffs, but don't be surprised if they get 84 to 85 wins. I would not be surprised.
I would not be surprised if
They have a lot of young talent that nobody knows about.
I would not be surprised if every team in the AL East was above or near 500. Wasn't it that way last year?
No, the Red Sox finished. So the Red Sox had a very good September. That's one thing I'll say about the Red Sox. When they have a bad season, they just don't go out and quit at the end of the year.
No, they don't.
They spoiled a lot of teams September.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the long run, it hurted them in the playoffs. I think we ruffled up Toronto a little bit in September, even though it might not have shown in the scores. I think we bothered them at the end of the year a little bit.
Yeah, we opened with Toronto this year.
In Toronto.
No, they come to us.
Oh wow. Okay. Do you have to go to them?
I think we do.
I
How
know
is
St.
this?
Louis is coming to Boston this year. That's exciting.
That is exciting.
They'll be there.
And we've always played some really competitive games against you guys.
It's always been multiple World Series in the past, whatever, 15, 20 years. So it's always exciting.
But Toronto opens at Busch.
Okay.
So you're going to have the whole opening day bit. You're going to have you're going to have the Cardinal Hall of Famers in the red jackets. You're going to have the Clydesdales. You're going to have the "Here Comes the King" song and everything.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Last question. Go ahead.
Well, no, you go ahead. You finish.
I think we have the best opening day in baseball.
The Red Sox, to be honest with you, Parker, I've only been to like 2 or 3 opening days. I can't think of anything special they do. Obviously, the years that we won the championships, yeah, but
like when they raise the banners, you mean?
Yeah, I can't remember. The only thing that I can really think of they do that's memorable is the Marathon Monday. And outside of that,
yeah, I was just going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
So they are doing. What time does the Boston Marathon start? 9? 9?
Yeah, 9:30, something like that.
Okay, so you could conceivably run the Boston Marathon and then dash over to Fenway and catch the last few innings of the Red Sox game.
Yes. Very, very, very conceivable. Oh, yeah, they start at 11 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think Curt Schilling's wife did that one year.
There's been a couple of years where they haven't been able to play the game. Obviously, 2020, they weren't able to play it
Right.
Because of COVID-19.
And what about 2013 with the bombing?
They played that day.
Oh, they did? Okay.
It happened after the game.
Oh, but I know Curt Schilling's wife ran Boston one year and then went over to Fenway to see her husband pitch.
That's cool. Yeah, the Marathon Monday is always kind of a cool day. I don't have it off at work, but I might try to sneak over there and then take the day off and get to the game.
Just call your boss, cough into the phone a few times.
Yeah,
right. I can't come in. Yeah, do the old Fred Flintstone bit.
That's true. That's true. That is true. No, but yeah, they do that. Last question I had for you, and then we're gonna get into our predictions.
All right.
How does Tampa year after year continue to put good teams together and get into the postseason with how low their payroll is? I think it's a nod to their scouting department.
I was just going to say the same thing. I think player development, scouting, I think their front office is very smart.
We have one of our guys right now, our director of baseball operations, Chaim Bloom, is our guy right now that's there that has put together this team. Early on his time in Boston, his job will be in jeopardy this year. We're gonna get into it in a little while here. I
mean, how many times have the Yankees threatened to fire Brian Cashman?
I don't see the Red Sox getting into the postseason this year. I don't even see how they can be above 500. I don't.
I do see them making it interesting, though.
They are going to have to. You know what? Let's do this.
All right.
Let's get into the Red Sox, and then we're going to get into the Cardinals. So I'll have my piece. You have your piece. Make it easy. Going into this season, and we talked about this last show too. The Red Sox are going to need Chris Sale to be the guy he was when he first got here. If we can get Chris Sale to be that guy and get a little bit more than the Yankees got out of Corey Kluber, we could finish with 84 wins. Absolutely. I just don't think we will.
Even if you did,
opening day starter.
Even if you did finish with 84 wins, would 84 wins be enough to get you into the postseason?
No, but it'd be good enough for me. Oh, an above 500 season for the Red Sox this year, it would be great. I would be very happy with that.
I've always liked the Red Sox organization. I've always liked the way they do things.
I just don't see how I don't know where they're getting their offense production from. Is my thing. Outside of Devers,
well, if Cassis pans out, who knows?
It's sporadic. Same thing with Dahlback. It's just sporadic.
But I like teams.
Luckily, they start the season with two matchups that potentially they could, have a
No,
winning record out of them.
I know Verdugo played for Mexico,
Yep, he's there.
and where did Duran played in the Classic too?
Duran's in Team Mexico.
Oh, him too.
Yeah, he's there. What's his name? Devers played.
I thought Devers played for the Dominican.
He did. Yep.
Okay, so he's done.
His
His
done.
Classic is
I
done.
think he's reported back to Fort Myers, or he just stayed in Boston. Whatever.
Oh.
I know the Red Sox are trying to be very careful with him, based on the fact we just gave him a 11-year contract.
What is with these contracts these days?
The Red Sox had to get Rafael Devers.
Oh yeah,
because if they went into this year not signing him, there might be 20,000 people at the games.
Oh,
as opposed to 30,000. Yeah, no, the fan. I'm not a fan like that, but there's a lot of fans like that are tired of the Red Sox losing their marquee players. We can go down a list.
Well, I mean, I remember when we lost Pujols after the 11 season.
Yep.
I thought there was going to be this mass exodus of fans leaving, switching their allegiance to some other team, but no, it didn't.
No, you're right.
That didn't happen. But I think everything was made all better last year when Albert came back.
Of course. But I just think going into this year, and for me, my expectations are kind of low. I thought I don't want to get disappointed like I did last year. Last year was a really hard year for the Red Sox because they had enough talent.
With Red Sox fans, though, I mean, a lot of them from 1918 to 04 went their whole lives being disappointing.
I didn't see it, so we've had it pretty good, my generation. But I'd love that 2021 Red Sox team was a really fun team to watch, because they weren't expected to be as good as they were, and they were able to kind of catch a fire in a bottle, and we're in my opinion.
What's your last team to win it all? 18.
18.
Okay.
2018. That 21 team, I felt like deserved the right to be in the World Series, but doesn't work that way. Houston was better.
You guys have won quite a few championships since
four since 2000.
I just don't.
And the Yankees have only won 2, but they got about 25 more than we do. So I don't want.
We've also won only 2 in that same span.
Yeah.
And we've been to three fall classics. One, of course.
We talked about this the other day. We were talking about the Texas Rangers. But that might be a team going into this year I might be surprised about based on how much money they've spent. But you guys in the San Francisco Giants essentially stopped a dynasty from growing. In that 2-year span that they got to the baseball classic. The Royals did the same thing, but that time they won the second time against the
It's going to depend with the Texas Rangers. It's going to depend on DeGrom.
Yeah, if DeGrom can be that guy for them, they get a chance.
But if he can be that guy, is he going to be the guy that's hurt all the time, or is he going to be the guy that won 2 Cy Youngs for the Mets?
Let's get into your Cardinals, Parker.
Okay.
I'll step aside for a minute. You talk. You go ahead.
All right, but I will say this: our pitching is looking surprised. A lot of people in the Facebook groups have been griping about the pitching. No, our pitching sucks. Our pitching sucks. Flaherty gets injured all the time. Matz gets injured all the time. Matz has only been with the Cardinals 1 year. He's got 3 to go, and both of them are actually looking pretty good this spring.
I saw Matz. I was going to put him on my list, but I only had young guys. He's pitching pretty good in spring training.
Yeah, he is. So is Jack. But I got fingers crossed for Jack. Hopefully he makes it through a year without being injured. But if he can pitch the way he's supposed to, if Matz can pitch the way Matz had a great year with Toronto the year before he came to the Cards. If those two could pitch the way they're supposed to, if Waino can continue to be Waino, if Miles Michaelis pitches, I think our pitching is going to look I think our pitching is going to surprise a lot of people. If everybody pitches according to their potential, our pitching is going to surprise. I think Helsley is the best closer. I think we've got a great bullpen. I like our bullpen.
He was an all-star last year, correct?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know he lost his arbitration case and people gripe about that. Oh, the Cardinals screwed him. The Cardinals didn't screw anybody over. The arbitration cases are decided by a third party.
Mm-hmm.
It is not up to the team.
Correct.
It is not up to the petitioner. It is up to the arbitrator.
Mm-hmm.
That is a neutral third party. People don't seem to understand that. I don't know why they can't grasp.
If you're not a baseball watcher or lover, I think it's hard to understand that.
Yeah, but people that call themselves Cardinal fans don't seem to understand that.
Yeah, there's a lot of Red Sox fans that don't understand that either. Yeah, no.
The arbitrator is a third party, not employed by the team. He is. I seem to remember one arbitrator one year was like a former district court judge.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, offensively, I have no doubts the Cardinals are about the Cardinals' abilities. Goldie, Nato, they're having great WBCs right now. O'Neill had a nice WBC for Canada. Could be our starting center fielder. And of course, Lars, the Japanese icon, Newt Barr. Dylan Carlson is having a really good spring.
I had a question for you. It was kind of a side note. I don't think I ever
Go ahead.
got a chance to ask you. Do you think the way last year ended will motivate them this year? I felt like it kind of was a cruel ending to the year last year. Yeah, I mean, you guys lost to a Phillies team that at the time people didn't expect to be, as good as they were. I don't know if that motivates you guys going into this year.
It does. Definitely. Okay. Definitely. But I was going to say, too, we've got a great hitting outfield, and which will be made better by Jordan Walker. I think we've got the best defense in baseball. You got Nato at third, the way it projects. You got Nato at third, Edman at short. Donovan at second, and Goldie at first. All four have won Gold Gloves. And that's Donovan won the first ever utility Gold Glove last year. So that, like I said, all four have won Gold Gloves, and they're going to be our starters.
You traded Bader away, an outfielder, to the Yankees last year, who was hurt at the time.
And he's hurt again.
Pretty good with Jordan Montgomery, if you ask me.
Yep, he figures in. So we're going to have some good. I think our pitching's going to surprise.
Yeah.
I think we've got a good, serviceable replacement for Yachty. We're going to make some noise.
Okay. All right. Well, let's kind of get into it, starting with the So, Parker, this is the way it's going to work.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to talk about the AL East first.
Yes,
I'm
of
course.
course.
My prediction, and then you go with yours.
Alphabetically, AL East comes first. All right, here we go.
In terms of our predictions, Parker, I'm just looking right now. I feel like we agree on everything in the AL in terms of the division winners.
Mm-hmm.
But we do, as our last wild card spot, have a bit difference. Let me look at the okay. Not as much in the National League, but that's okay. So starting with the AL East, I think the Yankees are going to win again. I think you look at, top to bottom. I don't really think Toronto got overly better. I think they were overrated last year, and I think people saw that. But they had a tremendous comeback late in the year. And I think them playing some division teams late in the year kind of slowed them up a little bit. That's the only nod I'll give the Red Sox for doing last year. It was kind of roughing their feathers a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Parker, you of course have the Yankees as well.
I mean, they have Aaron Judge. What can I say?
Enough said.
Okay, I like Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota in the Central. I wanted to choose Cleveland, but
I kind of did too.
I'm not confident that Cleveland's going to have the flash in the pan year that they had last year. I think they were surprised. I wasn't expecting Cleveland to be very good last year.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't either. And do you think the name change had anything to do with it?
It could have. You never know. Yeah, you could have.
I'm not sure about the name change.
I don't know.
Why would you want to name your team after a gargoyle?
They didn't really have a choice. They had to get.
Well, I know they did. I know they had to go away from Indians, but they couldn't they have come up with something else? But
I agree.
those two things, they named them after the traffic guardians on one of the bridges leading into Cleveland.
I wanted them to be the Spiders, but there was already a team.
I did too.
Yeah.
That would have been good.
In the AL West, we both agree with Houston. I think Houston. Mm-hmm. You know, one team that I really wanted to put down there in that wild card spot. We're going to get into it. I really wanted to put the Angels. I'm tired of hearing about Mike Trout and Shohei not making the playoffs.
I was kind of wanting to put the Royals down.
The Royals, okay, yeah, they're a team that would be exciting. So, wild card teams. I had Toronto, Cleveland, and Chicago. Mm-hmm. I think Chicago last year, their manager ruined their team. That's no offense to Tony La Russa, but you can't be out of the game for that long and expect.
No, we were out of the game. He was out of the game for 11 years.
I think he that first year he was there, he of course got them to the wild card round against, I think it was Oakland. Who they're going to be changed. They're not going to be the Oakland A's much longer.
No, they're going to be the Vegas A's, I think.
I think they're going to be changing soon. But I see here that you have the Rays instead of the White Sox. I thought the White Sox were kind of a tricky pick, but
I like the Rays. I think the Rays are exciting. I like Arozarena. I think they're a good young team. I attribute it again to player development and a smart and a shrewd front office.
Okay. Our first disagreement in terms of division winners in the NL East, I think Atlanta is going to win again. I think Atlanta has a good core group that is going to be in the organization for a while. I'm just concerned that the Mets are going to lose a lot of games this year because they don't have a great closer.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the only reason why they really made the postseason last year, because DeGrom wasn't there half of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they lost Syndergaard the year before. So I think the Mets are going to make the postseason.
They have Scherzer and Verlander. They do have Scherzer and Verlander. You can't. Who are both surefire. They're both 3,000 strikeout club members.
Yep. True.
They're both surefire Hall of Famers. I think the Mets. The only reason I'm picking the Mets is because they went all in, and they're taking the now approach.
I like it.
After this year, I'm not so sure what their fortunes are going to look like.
I don't think that there's much of a conversation that needs to be had here. I think we both have to have the Cardinals winning the NL Central. I think they're the class of the division. I would be very, very surprised if Milwaukee was able to have the year that they had last year again.
Milwaukee, I don't know what this is the second or third time I remember them doing
this. They're missing something.
They're in first place for like 100 and some odd days, and then like the last 4 to 6 weeks of the season, they just.
Yep.
They'll probably, if they do anything this year, they'll probably do that again.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, I like pitching. I like pitching, but it can't hold up forever.
No, you need offense.
Yes, you do. You need both.
You need both. I agree. I think the NL West.
Looking at the Cardinals right now, I think they have both.
The NL West, another kind of dog fight there. The Padres, that's why I think they're going to win the division, similar to the way you thought the Mets. The Padres went all in.
Mm-hmm.
And they have Tatis coming back.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But
I forgot about
Tatis,
that.
I don't think it's going to be a shortstop anymore.
Oh.
Because now they have Xander Bogaerts playing.
Oh, yeah. Where are they going to play Fernando Jr.?
Center field.
Yeah.
Once he returns. Remember, he still has, I think he has 20 games left on his suspension.
Oh, does he? I thought the suspension was over.
I think it tailed into next year, I thought.
Oh. Well, I still like the Dodgers. I don't like the Dodgers, but in that division I do. But I will say this: I think the NL West is going to be close.
Okay.
And I think it's going to come down to the last
I like it. I like it. I like it. Wild card teams. I have the Dodgers,
Yep.
former National League champs, Philadelphia Phillies.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the Mets getting in that third wild card spot. I think the Mets are good enough to get into the postseason. The Mets last year, in my opinion, blew a fantastic opportunity winning their division. They blew
Yeah,
it.
they did. They blew
They
it.
were right there. They were 10 games up. They had the Braves right where they wanted them,
Right.
and they fell apart.
They blew it in the postseason too.
And then they got matched up against a really tough San Diego team
Mm-hmm.
who was very good. So I see here that you have the Padres, Phillies, and then, of course, you have the Braves
Mm-hmm.
in that wild card spot. World Series predictions. I got Houston and the Dodgers. I think so. The reason why I have the San Diego winning the division is I think the Dodgers, they have a lot of guys playing in the WBC.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be one of the teams that has a hard time meshing with each other when they're.
Oh yeah.
I think that there's a lot. They have a lot of guys that not just playing for Team USA. They'll have a lot of guys on a lot of other teams in the WBC. I think they're gonna have a hard time meshing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're gonna figure it out. I think they're gonna get to the Fall Classic. And Houston has owned the Yankees. I think the Yankees are gonna get back to the ALCS. The Yankees are a very, very talented team. There's no question about it. But I just think they're gonna continue to keep falling short against Houston.
Although
you have them getting over the hump.
Yeah, because Altuve's gone.
True.
That's why I picked the Yankees, because Jose Altuve's gone. He got injured last night.
He's gone for the year?
I don't know if he's gone for the year, but he's going to be gone for a while.
I know that he got hurt last night. I didn't know that he was gone for that long.
They indications are a broken thumb right now.
Oh yeah, that's whatever. We'll see you in August or whatever. It's July.
Yeah, that's why I picked the Yankees getting over the hump.
Okay, all right. And of course, you have the Cardinals. I understand. Yeah, tell them.
I don't care. I love the Cards. I think I keep.
It's not an outlandish pitch. It's not a homer pick at all. They're talented.
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, it's not a fan pick. I
thought the Cardinals had a chance, had a shot to get there last year.
They did. They just
went. That was similar to
the Phillies were hot. The Phillies got hot at the end.
They got hot. It's similar to being in March Madness, which is going on right now. It's it's whatever the hottest team is.
Yeah, my boys got put out by Princeton.
Yeah.
Kansas lost.
Yeah, Kansas.
Let's see. Oh yeah, Fairleigh Dickinson 16 beat a 1 again.
So I'm a Providence fan. That's my college basketball team.
Yeah.
They lost to Kentucky. Yeah, they lost to Kentucky the other
night. So Providence is out.
Providence is out. Providence over so going into the year, I thought that Providence might finish a couple games above 500.
So you're an old Friar.
I am a Friar. I've only been a Friar fan for the past 3 or 4 years.
Oh, you didn't actually go there.
No. So I've always was a Boston College fan.
Okay. The Eagles.
Now that I broadcast at Boston University, my allegiance has changed a little bit.
You broadcast at Mike Eruzione's alma mater?
Yeah.
And Jim Craig's?
Yeah, Jimmy Craig.
Now doesn't Mike Eruzione work for Boston University?
He does. Yeah, he does something in athletics.
Like PR.
So so we have our predictions.
Yep.
We will not be back next week. So Parker, I'm actually going on vacation in the end of April, not the end of March.
Okay.
So the reason that's why we did the predictions. We will be back on April 1st.
Are you saying is this for real, or is this April Fool's?
No, it's for real.
We will be back.
We will be broadcasting on April Fool's.
Okay. And that's the day after my birthday.
And of course, we'll get everyone the times for that day. I will be broadcasting a game during that day, I believe. So we'll have to probably be a night show.
Okay. So what are you broadcasting? A Boston University game?
A Bentley University.
Baseball?
Baseball. Yep.
Oh, how are they?
Outside of Boston. They're okay. They're a Division 2 schools, so they're interesting. But I'll be there.
Now, what is Dean again? Dean June?
Dean's Division 3. Yep. Used to be a junior college, and
Yeah, I
then
know.
Yeah.
I remember it from way back in the day.
4
It
or
was
5
junior.
years before I got there, they became a Division III school. So that
Oh, you went there.
I did go to Dean. Yep, I
Oh.
went to Dean.
Did you go to it as a junior college, or did you go to it as a 4-year college?
That's the reason why I say that's a tough question is when I first got there, it was still a junior college. So yes,
Oh, so they were making the transition when you got there.
they made the transition to D3 my sophomore year.
Oh, so did you stay all 4 years then?
I'm back. I accidentally clicked it off.
Did you stay all 4 years?
Yep, I was there all 4 years. My major switched to 4 years.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That's
So,
good.
yep.
But
It is.
anyway, no, this was a good show.
Good show.
I hope everybody out there enjoys it. Now, E2G it seems to me that's Buddy's network.
Yes, sir.
How's he doing?
But he's doing well. I believe.
Is
I
he?
believe he's
Okay.
doing well.
I know he was going through some stuff for a while there, but I'm glad he's doing okay.
He's doing
That's-
okay. Thank you for everyone listening. We'll be back on.
We'll be back on April Fool's Day.
Yeah,
For real.
Have a good
All
one,
right.
everyone.
You too. Have a good one, everybody. Take care.